Are you struggling with picking up the phone and making those key calls to potential customers, investors, or partners? Wave in here. Our guest is the queen of cold calling and conversation, and she's sharing her best advice and tips to help you stop procrastinating and begin dialing for dollars. Stay tuned for the Startup Life Live show. Let's glow, everyone. Hello, welcome to the Startup Life Live show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I kind of know what y'all are crawling through every single day. Those moments of like, oh my gosh, we just solved that problem, yay! Or you've onboarded the most amazing team member, or you landed some investment dollars. Oh, those moments of pure joy are great. And other days you're sleeping like a baby, right? Waking up every 2 hours crying. But the beauty of this journey that you are on, that we're all on as founders, is that we're tapping into the most fullest expression of who we are and learning so much more about our capabilities, right? And so that's why I am deeply grateful that you carved out time to tune in and grab the gems from our delicious conversation today while leveling up your founder game. Because here's the facts. As you do better, your business will do better. Woohoo! And just a huge hello and out there to all the viewers that are here live today and to all the replay viewers and podcast listeners. I'm so grateful again that you carved out time and tuning in, and I'm cheering you on everywhere you glow. And if you're tuning in from YouTube, gosh, I would love it if you shared your subscriber love right here on YouTube. And be sure to click that bell icon and to receive an alert whenever I post a new show. Come on over and join us at Meetup's Startup Life Live group. That way you'll get a full alert whenever I post a new show. This is all the details on the founder that I'm interviewing that day and the scoop that they're going to be bringing to help you up your founder game. So I have a few what I'm calling Andelicious Announcements I want to share with you today. And that is what's going on in the startup world. Well, of course, I want you all to go over to Arlen's Academy and grab some of the most amazing sound bites and delicious information you need to launch and build a successful business. And she's grabbed great information from some of her favorite founders and experts, and it's all free. So I want to put that out to you. And then May 19th, so I don't know when you're tuning in, but this is coming up in just a few days. Today's the 17th. Zane Access, which is the cohort arm of Zane Venture Capital, they're having a graduation night, and look who's speaking. It's the founder of Calendly. And you know, we all learn from when we hear founders that have really hit it out of the ballpark, right? So it's free to RSVP. So hop on over there and get the scoop. And then I want to let you know about Visible Hands. Okay, so this is our local VC company, and they have an accelerator that is outstanding. They've extended the deadline date to May 20th. And remember, when you are accepted into the Visible Hands Accelerator program, you immediately get $25,000 so that you can focus on your business over this period of time. You're going to get company building services. You can earn an additional investment up to $150K. You get community support. And most important, you're going to build your social capital, which we all know is even more important than financial capital. So hop on over. Do not hesitate to apply. Tap into that courage of yours, get some help, and apply. Here's another great opportunity for you social impact founders and startups. This is a free 4-month program, and it's by Propeller. And they're a force for social innovation. Applications are open. Deadline is June 12th. And their accelerator program is equipping entrepreneurs with coaching, community building, curriculum, and technical assistance needed to grow and transform your business. You see the link right there on the screen. Just do it. And another great local
Oh
establishment,
my
Accent
God.
College's Win Lab. And this is the Women's Innovation Now Lab. And boy, do they do a tremendous job with their accelerator program, and their applications are open. And the lab kicks off in September 22 and will run through the end of December. So hop on over and apply. And if you're feeling a little uncomfortable applying, well, you got to go over there to Scroobius, because they're going to help you prepare to pitch to accelerators and to investors. They help you create an amazing pitch deck that is video, so they can see you and feel you and get a vibe for who you be. So Scroobius is really one of my favorite places and platforms to help prepare, especially newbie founders, for an amazing experience in getting into accelerators, getting funding by those angel investors or VCs. So I wanted to throw that out there. I can say a quick hello over here. Hey, Benjamin, watching live from Uganda. Looking forward to the engagement. We are so grateful you're tuning in. How are you doing? How's work? What's happening? How's everything going on in your world? Let us know. And Ruth, where would I be without you, my wonderful community manager? She's saying, welcome to the live show. Leave a comment and you'll be automatically entered to win a special free giveaway, which our guest and I are going to talk about. I'm going to just share a few more things before I introduce our wonderful guest. And that is, I had the incredible good fortune to be a judge at the Hult Prize Regional Summit Saturday. I listened to 19 startups pitch their business. And so let me tell you a little bit about this extraordinary annual prize where once they get to the finals, you're going to win, you're up to win, eligible to win $1 million, $1 million. Okay. That's US dollars. All right. So here's the scoop about Hult, because it's just so powerful, everybody. Each year, the Hult Prize challenges university students across the world to solve social challenges facing millions of people globally. And this year, 2022, the call to action is about creating meaningful work opportunities because so many people lost their jobs. And so they asked students to build a business that will employ at least 2,000 people by 2024 while creating a positive impact on the world. And I'm telling you, the Hult, you have to have a problem that is solving a deep problem that the world is facing. I was so inspired. So follow Hult Prize everywhere you glow, because you will love them. Links will be in the show notes as well. And of course, I always like to find out who needs a hug. Founder Circle. This is what we're here for. Share. You got an ask. You need an introduction. This show is heard by hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, or seen, on video. So the audio gets repurposed to the podcast, right? Some folks are listening right now on the podcast. Thank you. And via the replay. And so this is an opportunity for you to share your business, amplify what you've got going on, and have a call to action. You never know who's going to look at what you're saying and just go, oh my gosh, they had me at hello, right? But you have to be out there. You've got to constantly be popping in, and you can pop your comments in or ask questions ahead of time, and I'll bring them up on the screen. It's all good here. But I also want to remind everybody during the conversation, for those who are tuning in, amplify your brand. Again, this is a great way to get your business out there. So pop into the comment section, your business name, one-liner, and URL. And Wendy and I, as our guest today, will celebrate you. Pop your questions up here so that we can get you in there. And we're going to talk about the prize that we're giving away today. So let me just not waste another second and introduce you to our phenomenal female founder, amazing, amazing guest. It's the wonderful queen of cold calling and conversations. And I also like to throw in conversions, the one and only Wendy Harris. Wendy has worked in the sales and communication industry for over 30 years and now uses this knowledge to train others to make their conversations count and increase sales via her business, WAG Associates, which she founded back in 2005. So let's make this delicious conversation count right now and bring Wendy into the room. Hey, Wendy!
Hey, Ande!
Oh my gosh, Wendy. I am seriously so excited that you're here for so many reasons. I don't know where I was on LinkedIn or what happened. Somebody shared you, and I just went gaga over you and your work in the world. Where are you hailing from?
I'm slap bang in the middle of the UK.
In the middle of the UK. Well, there we
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
Hello across the pond, as we like to
Hello
say.
back.
It's so good. It's so good. Well, I'm so thrilled that you're here and you're joining us and and sharing such an important part of the work that we have to do as founders, because nothing happens if you don't pick up the phone, right? But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about this wonderful book of yours. I'll pull up the image again. Making Conversations Count: How to Sell Over the Phone. Oh my gosh, folks, just by commenting, you will be entered to win a prize. You'll be entered to win a free copy of the book. But Wendy will also, for you replay and podcast listeners and viewers, will have an opportunity to get a free chapter. Is that right, Wendy?
Absolutely. You never know, where a conversation's going to lead. I love the fact that you're doing so much for founders, over there. I kind of want a UK program. I want to be able to bring what you're doing to the UK. It's just awesome what you're doing.
Thank
And of
you.
course, Founders Circle. Ask the questions, please, because starting those conversations, you never know where they're going to lead. You don't know who's listening, who knows who. And what is it I say, Ande? It's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's what you know about them.
Okay. Oh my God. It's just like, right. We just haven't got started, and I'm having, a stitch that on a pillow. That
It's
could
a
also
new record.
it could also be a bumper sticker. It's not who you know, it's what you know about them.
Yeah. Well, on the bumper sticker, it should be, you need to carry on the conversation too, right?
Wow. I didn't think about it like that ever. How do you keep the conversation going? How do you nurture that relationship? Well, folks, we're going to dive into all of that. But first, Wendy, what the heck? How did you become an entrepreneur? You've been at this for a while. And is this something that you've seen in your family? Did you see folks, in your life that were just knocking it, with entrepreneurship? Or were you hustling when you were a kid? Or did you fall into it?
I kind of fell into it. I needed a job. I wanted to earn money. I was 13 and I went round on the market stalls local to me, and there was a 4-stall jackets and jeans guy there, and he said, if you can, beat that boy packing that away into the van over there, you've got the job. Well, of course, I packed it away faster. But being on a market stall every Saturday
Yeah.
was just a fabulous experience, because you've
Why?
got people out and about. They were shopping. They didn't necessarily know if they wanted a new jacket or a new pair of jeans, right? And you just get talking to people, and they'd be, handing over their money because you've found them what it was that they were looking for, because they didn't know that they wanted to browse.
See, and then you help them make that decision, which is what we all do as founders, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't really selling to me. I just thought, oh, this is great. I'm helping, And the owner of that store was an Indian family who, I suppose, in the late mid-80s, it was a little bit difficult to involve a Westerner,
Right.
certainly a white female. And it was when his wife brought me Indian tea, I knew that I was doing a good job.
Yay!
Yay!
Awesome. And so how did that progress into picking up a phone? Like, how did you start building those skills?
It sort of went from market stalls to waitressing to wanting to leave home, really. And to leave home, I needed money. So
Uh-huh.
at 17, I'd got 4 or 5, 5 years behind me in working.
Right.
So I literally applied for a job as a telesales account manager, and in my cover letter said, I'm older than my years. I'm quite a mature young lady. I've been working. I just really would like the experience of an interview. got the job.
Oh my gosh. I just want the experience of the interview. Like, no pressure for hiring me is what you're inferring with that comment. But you got in front of them, and what happened? I'm curious.
It, it was so funny because I had a raging cold. So in my handbag was a big box of tissues. So I was kind of answering questions, blowing my nose and putting the tissues back in and getting a new one out. And I guess it was supposed to be a 20-minute interview, and I was in there an hour and 10.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, she showed up with the cold. I mean, how many of you would have just said, "Oh, I have to reschedule. I'm sick." A. B, even blowing your nose and answering the questions, which, may have had someone slitting back like,
It must have looked a sight.
but there you were.
I did actually, when I got there, I did sort of say to them, I am full of cold and I'm really, really sorry, but I didn't want you thinking that I didn't care about the opportunity that you'd given me. And so long as you're okay with me sort of sitting, a little bit far away, that was fine. But it was just such an experience that I walked out of there thinking, well, if I haven't got the job, which I wasn't expecting, that was just a great experience.
Right.
It's shown me so much.
Well, and what I see as an observer is that was a glimpse into your ability to have your own business, because you have to be willing to show up no matter what as a founder, and be willing to fail, be willing to make the mistake, be willing to be told no. But you were in pursuit of that specific job, and you wanted to honor them for taking the time to interview, but you also were there on a mission, which was to get the experience you needed as a young adult to get into this marriage. So where did you end up that you became like this queen of cold calling? I mean, this is, what I love about lived experiences is the different things, the lanes we end up going down and the journeys we take that get us right to where we're supposed to be. Oh, I feel that's a song, right?
We can add some lyrics later. Yeah, it's odd really, because I ended up being the national account manager there, and then they decided to close our whole department in at our location and move it so nobody could relocate. It's kind of sad at that point, but it was easy for me then to get another role as somebody with 2 years sales under their belt at 19. Yeah. So I just continued sort of just going and helping people. And I think it was when they decided that department should have come back that I got approached, can you come back? And I was just about, I just had my eldest daughter then. And it suited me to do that because I knew I could do the job, that was no problem. But after a little while, I wanted to progress, and I was told I was too valuable in the office. So that tells you something.
Yes.
And they don't want to let you loose on the road.
Right. And so, how did you evolve into the next step? Because this is, again, preparing you.
It was a conversation with a friend who had not long set up her own business, who was struggling to do the in the office and out on the road with customers. She was splitting herself in two. And I just happened to go, I really can't believe that I've gone through all of this with them and they're not prepared to support me back in my journey.
Right.
That I wanted to, give them the peace sign.
Yeah.
And she just went, oh, you've just solved my problem. Come and work for me.
Oh my gosh.
That was that. And then the first business that I went into on my own was off the back of that, because that taught me something else. And I went on and did my own thing. It's just interesting how you end up sort of falling into things. Certainly the women will appreciate this more than the men, is that you end up having families and you end up having school runs, and you're needed for different things. So you curb your career, you fall back on your hours, you don't do quite as many. So there's a lot of periods of time where I'm just doing what I love to do, which is helping people, because it fits around my family. And it was when my eldest daughter got to an age of, at high school didn't need me quite so much. I thought, oh, I'm gonna do my own business again. I've done it before. I'm going to try it again. And whilst it was the biggest failure of my life, it actually led me into the biggest win.
Oh my gosh, tell that story.
Franchise gone wrong is the 50 Cent story. Yeah. I thought I needed that support.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think, when you're starting out on your own, it's a pretty scary thing. So I thought I'm going to be following a framework and a process and all this. And then the franchise just changed its tack on how it wanted to do things. It wanted more control of the franchisees. And I was like, hey, I wanted to run my own business. I don't need you to do that. I don't want to do it that way. So I came out of that, but I'd met some people who went, why are you not just doing this for yourself and for people in your area? And that was that. I kind of went back to people and went, this hasn't worked out. I'm thinking about this. I just picked up work and that was it. And I've just been fortunate and blessed enough that I've had people that have been with me from the beginning of WAG in 2005 that come back. They recommend me. I can do projects for people. And the biggest success for me is when I put myself out of work. They don't need me anymore.
Oh my gosh. They can reach that point where they can do their own customer acquisition.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Benjamin, this is a great question because, transitioning, doing the side hustle while you're working. And folks, Benjamin's question is, what's your experience starting your business while still at your 9-to-5 job? Well, I'm going to just pop in real quickly and say, Benjamin, side hustling is a great way to launch a business because you're still able to pay the rent and feed you and your family. And according to Adam Grant, who's a well-known statistician and data-driven guy, he shares that 32% that those who have a side hustle business while they're working their 9-to-5 job have a 32% greater chance of success than those who quit and just start. So I just want to throw that out to you. Did you have that experience of working at a 9-to-5 and launching a business, Wendy?
Only in as much as that I was a manager of a call center, so I was still involved with recruitment and interviewing and all of the KPIs and things, whilst I was looking into that franchise model. So, of course, when I knew that was the direction I was going to take, I did an awful lot of planning and the foundational work for it so that I could then quite confidently go, I'm leaving and it's okay. I'm not taking all of your customers with me. It's something completely different.
Excellent. So you had said that when you had your franchise, you learned exactly what you didn't want and you learned what you did want. So when you went to launch WAG Associates in 2005, what was the obvious thing that this was going to work for you that you learned from what didn't work?
You've just got to know your own mind. It's as simple as that. If you know your why, if you know what it is that you're going to be helping those customers with, it's like cold calling. You start the conversation on the right foot and the rest kind of comes natural.
There you go. And people and circumstances will also start showing up for you. And you'll take advantage of that because, luck is always when you are prepared and the opportunity arises. So let's start talking about cold calling because I think cold calling has such a bad rap, Wendy. And, you had to do your own kind of cold calling when you started your telemarketing business, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's just separate the good from the bad.
Okay.
Right. Now, I'm in the B2B field, which is that I'm looking at speaking to people in a position of responsibility to get a job done. And that's the telemarketing part of introducing something that could potentially help them do a better job for the business that they work in. That's the good. The bad is when you're trying to read the story at bedtime to your, 6 or 7-year-old and you've done a full day's work and somebody's trying to sell you double glazing when you've already got windows in your house. So that's the difference. So I think it's always good to remember that, telemarketing, you've got to be speaking to the right people for the right reason.
Right.
And that's
And
where it all starts.
And where I see founders fall down, Wendy, is that they have to get started. They've got their tech worked out, they've got all these other things worked out, and they're not always a natural, quote, sales and marketing person. And so they start to look at their deck if they're pitching to investors and polishing that up, with the fine, oh yeah, making that look good, or their numbers and making that look good, but not picking up the phone. In fact, I was telling you earlier about the founder who talked about that for 4 months. That's what she did instead of picking up the phone. What is it that keeps us in our head from picking up the phone and just getting started?
Usually it's the most basic of things. It's fear.
Yeah.
And it's fear of rejection, it's fear of interruption, it's fear that you're not good enough, it's all of the above. And that's when you're not prepared properly. There's no point in being the best kept secret if you're not going to shout about it. If you don't believe in what it is that you're doing, then you're not going to be able to talk about it. And I see a lot of founders actually getting other people to talk about their business because they're not comfortable doing it themselves. And unfortunately, that transferal of energy from them not being comfortable themselves kind of translates into the person that's doing it, because they're not 100% sure and committed and invested that this is going to work. So it kind of sets you up for failure already.
I have to tell you, you've just hit the nail on the head. And we just can we just get a hello from everybody on that? Oh my gosh. A big round of applause. I know I can hear some people nodding and raising their hand and going, yep. And it isn't that you aren't passionate about what you're doing. It's just that sometimes when you have to go and talk to somebody else about it, you have not prepared, as Wendy said. So how does one get prepared, Wendy?
Do you know, it's got to be practice. And the simplest thing is to just do one at a time. Break it down into the smallest of chunks.
Yeah.
One call a day is kind of what I talk about in my book. One call is 20 a month. And if you're talking to the right people for the right reason, then that's your pipeline right there growing. That's your first impressions that you're leaving with people. Those are the relationships that you're building. Those are the compound numbers that your business plan depends upon.
Right, exactly. And 20 calls. I have some more questions, but I want to say hi to Jeanette. Okay, Jeanette saying hello. I'm excited to be here. Better late than never. Wendy, this is a mother of 5. Okay, single mother. And she has a phenomenal business, the bow shop, and where she does these incredible, beautiful bows for girls' hairs. And that is selling in person. But Jeanette, you can pop the name of your business and URL. That would be great into the comment section so I can bring that up. But you can imagine when you can get distracted with all the children. But she's the primary breadwinner. So she's working so hard making her business work. It's wonderful. And Al, so happy to see you. He says, great question, Andy. Picking up the phone is so hard. And a great answer, Wendy. I am nodding so hard. I have a headache.
Wow, you're making me smile so much that I know that my face is going to hurt later. This is great.
It is. It's so important. Now, so now we know we're going to schedule one call a day, but we want to be prepared. And this is, where I feel challenged sometimes too, because I'm actively looking for what I call an anchor sponsor for the show. So I go on LinkedIn and I find out who are the decision makers for that category. And I try to get LinkedIn with them. And from there, try to set up that in conversation, try to find the right person to talk to. How do you suggest founders do that? Whether it's B2B or B2C, because folks, a lot of times if you're trying to reach the customer, you got to be at the location where the customer is buying. And it's not always online. Sometimes you need to be at the big box store, which means you need to talk to that retailer, or you need to be on that grocery shelf, or wherever it is they're buying. How do we prepare for that call so that we are finding the right person?
We have to remember that we have 7 seconds to create that first impression that will last. So if you don't make that best first impression in those 7 seconds, boy, you move on. You've lost it. So the best thing to do is to introduce yourself, but ask them all about them. At this point, we've said it already, it's telemarketing. You are just looking to establish and qualify whether it is a good fit. At this stage, you're not looking to sell anything at all. You are, as to want of a better word, you're sowing seeds so that you can harvest them later. So if you can go in with that reframe, you're not selling anything today, you just want to know how they're doing things now. And I just wanted to bring to your attention that I'm here and I exist. And how do I get involved then? And let them take the lead, because we all love talking about ourselves. So don't push yourself on them.
So
Do a little pull.
Do a little poll. So you're going to ask them, how they are meeting a need, or, how are they creating marketing plan? How can you, how does that go?
For Jeanette. Oh, hi. You're the buyer for the hair accessories. Do you have I've seen that you've got some bows in the stores. Have you thought about expanding that range? What are your plans for that particular product? Straight away, they're telling you then what their plans are. Have they thought about it? Oh, that's a really great question. And before you know it, you're just into a conversation that you know what the questions are, and it doesn't matter in what order.
Right. Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter what order. So you're just picking their brain, basically, just find out what is on the front of what's most important to them.
Yeah. Is it a good fit?
Yeah.
So that's great. Let me tell you a little bit more about us then. What's the timing on that? Okay. So then you've got an action, a next action.
Right.
Then you've got the follow-up. So if you break it into 3 things, that's why on the front of the book it says telemarketing, telesales, telesold, because there are stages to these things. So when you see sales experts say, oh, it's all about the close, I'm sorry, but if you make a bad first impression, and if you're only ever interested in what you're going to get out of it, then your conversion rate is going to be really low.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And we've heard this before, folks. Tune into the radio station, what's in it? FM. What's in it for WFIT? Andy.
What's in it for me?
Yes, that's it. What's in it for me? It needs to be what's in it for them, WFIT.
Yeah.
Hey, Al, that's great news. Yay.
Oh, thank you, Al.
Anytime a founder has a sale, you have given them a happy dance. Thank you, Al. And really, Wendy makes it so easy to consume. I mean, this book is just filled with one thing after another to help you cross that bridge, but also to build that muscle, right, Wendy?
Yeah, the repetitiveness. We know in marketing it's got to be about consistency. So for me, the whole purpose of writing the book was I was in lockdown. I wasn't able to deliver the 2-day masterclass, events in person to 30 businesses that are generally always founders, or early stages of their business. So the point is that all the way through the book, there are little exercises for you to do. So Al, a tip for you, read it cover to cover and then go back to the start. because there are exercises for you to do. There's space in the book for you to write in it and make it your own. So if you recommend the book, they've got to buy it themselves, because you won't want them seeing your notes. The whole idea is for you to be able to go back and to just tweak it, build on it, and give it a try. But it's things that you can do straight away after reading it.
Love that. And, a lot of times too, just the art of picking up the phone and making that first call. I mean, we're so used to having online engagements. Why is picking up the phone so important versus sending an email?
Oh, it's why I send voice notes. When you connect online,
Yeah.
you can't always guarantee that you're going to get through to somebody on the phone. And I know that. I get that. I've made nearly 2 million calls, right? So you can imagine how many voicemail boxes I've gotten to over the years, how many receptionists or PAs that are protecting their boss that I've needed to speak to. So the whole point is that when you get to the answer phone is to leave a message, and to leave a really concise message, because those 7 seconds, if you're going to leave a 30-second message, you're maybe not asking them to do anything, just to let them know that you're not, you're not a serial killer. There's nothing aggressive about you. You genuinely want to help. And that you will try again, and that you do, so you're keeping your promises, and that the next time that number is recognized, they'll answer it, because you forewarned them that it's nothing to worry about.
Right. No pressure.
Yeah. I just want to have a quick chat with you. That's it.
Just want to have a quick chat with you. Yeah. And I've heard people say they do the 8-minute chat or the 11-minute chat. They even tell them a little time period. What are your thoughts around that?
I always think if you've got 15 minutes, you'll use it. If you're told it's 30 minutes, you'll use it. It's like a meeting, isn't it? If there's an agenda, you could probably get it done in less time, but because you've set the time aside, you'll fill it. So for me, 15 seconds voice note. Hi, it's great to meet you. I'm looking forward to, following your feed or whatever your posts are. Or, I've got you on voicemail. I just want to introduce something to you. I'll catch up with you another day.
I'm going to show people. So on your phone here, so here's my Android. I don't know if you all can see it or not, but down here, there's this little mic right there. Okay. So you can go and you just hold it down and say, hey, Sarthak, great that you were connected, and go on and on. Right. And then of course, cancel that.
LinkedIn, you get a minute. And my goodness, if you need a minute, you've overdone it. It's not War and Peace, but it's the same as networking. You don't go up to somebody and go, hey, I've got this great thing, buy it now.
I've always said that's like going up to someone on the corner and French kissing them before you go on any date. Terrible, I know. When he's like, wait, I just had a drink of water. Don't be telling me that. I'm going to spit it out all over the screen. I know that's a hard visual to take in, folks, but it is like that if you don't start building the relationship. And I'm so into voicemail on LinkedIn for the messages once they've connected, and you can click that little mic on your phone app. I don't think it has it on the desktop, right?
No, you can, but you can now listen back on your desktop.
Yes, you can.
That you can, if you're not allowed your phone on your desk or whatever, you can listen back on desktop.
Do most people listen, Wendy? What has been your experience?
Yes, and surprisingly, people type back. I didn't know you could do that.
Right.
And it's kind of like a light bulb moment where they're like, that's so cool. Because what you've just, I try to walk the talk.
Yeah.
This is how I teach people to do things. And this is how I do it. If it works for me, it can work for you. If it's more comfortable for you, people can mark it unread after listening and leave it sitting there so they don't miss it.
When you work with clients, Wendy, and everybody, look right there. You just go to wagassociates.com and you can connect with Wendy there. You can follow her on LinkedIn. We're going to talk about her podcast in a minute. But when you work with clients, can they, onboard you to help train their people?
Yeah, this is kind of really where it all started, was when I was picking up the phone as a done for the client service. When I was getting myself into a position of they can do this themselves, it's likely because they're looking to take on a member of staff and take on sales and marketing duties around that. And because I've got recruitment background and training into new call centers, it was just one of those wraparound services that was just easy because I was the one doing it. I was the one that understood the process. I would know instinctively whether this person was going to be able to sort of take on the baton.
Yeah.
So it's great because clients just trust you to do that for them. And, it's just a beautiful thing to be able to do.
And worth getting out of bed for every day. So I know that Benjamin has shared his website, and it looks like he's saying it's KAAROENG services.business.site. And he's using a Google URL for some reason, but it's on the screen. Congratulations, Benjamin. What does your business do? And that's why we say one-liner, please. And then Al, you're doing something exciting. So everybody can go to algetler, GETLER.com, and learn about your new gig. Okay, hold on. Here's a link for one aspect of my gig life. What do you mean by that, Al? I'm fascinated by that. And Benjamin, thank you. Here we go. Caro Engineering Services is a local electrical and communications firm in Fort Portal, Tourism City in Uganda. We provide electrical installation and maintenance services for homes and commercial buildings. This show is listened to from folks from around the world. So Benjamin, good job putting that in. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yay, for getting up and starting a business. I just love that. So when folks, start warming up, let's talk about just a few of the mistakes they're going to make. You already mentioned that you've got to get to the point, you've got to make it about them. You don't want to freeze up. What about having a script ready so that if they are a little uncertain, can they have something written out to make sure that it goes smoothly?
I'm not a big fan of scripts per se. And that doesn't mean to say that you can't use a script. However, I feel that if you have a framework, as in bullet points of the objectives that you need to achieve. So think about the information that you want to gather in the conversation and have those as bullet points down. Don't overload yourself with too many, because ultimately you want to just be sure that you're talking to the right person. You want to find out how they're doing things. You want to know what the timing's like, and you want to agree between you that you've got permission to go back to them, that you've started the relationship on the right foot for the right reasons, for the right time for them.
And so you brought up that really good point, Wendy, which is you want to get that call back, like you're an actor, yes. Right? I want to get that call back. How do that is your goal on the first call, is to find out if it's alignment, if it's a fit. And then the next step, how long do you wait to get to that next call back?
Oh, this is a really good question, Ande, because the chances are of you actually getting hold of people these days is really tough. So if you're going to make 100 dials, the chances are you may get 3 to 5 people, which might sound really demoralizing. So what do you do with the 95 or 97 that you don't reach, right?
Right.
3-strike rule. You call them, you try and send an email to follow it up to say, hey, I've just left you a voicemail. It wasn't anything really serious. I was just wanting to introduce you. I'll try you again. Try again. There's your 2. Third time, you try them, you leave another message. Oh, I'm not sure if you saw my email, not sure if you caught my voicemail messages. Clearly, it's not the right time for you now. I will try you again at some point in the future. And then just try and forward that email in and go, just to remind you from my voicemail, here's my details. I'll speak to you again soon, so that you're just compounding those touches to them.
Right.
And then the rule really comes in that if you've not spoken to anybody, 90 days.
Okay.
So 3 months really is kind of the constant contact rule in the industry.
Wow.
But if you've spoken to somebody, you've got to follow your gut. And that'll depend on what you spoke about and
Right.
how much information they gave you. And then you'll be able to nail it better in terms of stalking them.
And so now, like, you feel it, right? You're feeling that you're getting to, they're like, okay, yeah, let me just run this by my folks, or we're going to be making our decision about spending money in Q2, Q3, Q4, whatever. You get that follow-up call and they really want you to pitch them right to the next level. What can folks do to prepare for that call? Because it's another call. And this is where conversions can happen.
I think it's about when you understand your own business, you ought to know what all of the objections are going to be. So you're going to know the different scenarios that people are going to push back on you. Oh, well, why should I pay that much compared to them? So you've got to know why you're different and why it is worth that, or the extra details that you put into things, or the extra padding that you put onto your products and services. Yeah. It's those little touches that makes you different to somebody else. You've got to be prepared for that, which is why you don't send somebody else in to pitch.
You've got to be there, folks. And those of you who are pitching to investors, reach out to me, Ande@andelyons.com, and get my questions that you need to be prepared for. Questions investors are going to ask you. And then I've got another great list of questions you need to ask investors. But what Wendy has just brought up is so important. And I'm actually having an Andelicious moment over it because it's that important. Fanning self. Okay. All of this is preparation and being able to be prepared so that you hear that objection. You've practiced in front of the mirror. You are ready to nail that because this is what they're supposed to do. They are supposed to filter you out as being somebody who can or cannot deliver what they're looking for, whether it's an investor deciding if you're the right founder they want to invest in. And yes, at the end of the day, they are investing in your ability to execute and implement, or it's a partnership with someone that's really going to leverage what you're doing as a founder, or the actual sale to that big box store or to that customer who's going to use your product. Wendy, that is phenomenal, best advice. And that's why I'm having the Andelicious moment.
I would add as well that if you don't go into that call with the factor me in attitude, don't take the call.
Factor me in attitude, explain.
So if when you just go, you're in or you're out,
Right.
You've got to show up by saying, I am the best choice. If you don't believe that you're the best choice, you're going to let somebody else show up as the best choice.
Right. And folks, you all remember Muhammad Ali. He always went into the ring thinking he was the greatest. Okay. Not kind of like, gee, I hope I win tonight. All right. No. Good luck beating me. Okay. And sometimes we have to use mindset hacks to get there. So we'll talk a little more about that. Hey, Richard O, the man behind the voice. Richard O is all about the voice. He's a podcast producer, folks. So we love what he does in the world. He says leaving a voice message is great. The recipient hears you. Right, Wendy?
Absolutely. And look, when we listen to podcasts, we tune in and we tune out. We know which ones we want to tune into because it's what we hear. It's that tool. It's that instinctive tool where we can filter out what we don't want to hear.
There we go. See, it's beautiful. Al Gettler, are you kidding me? This is so exciting. So, folks, this is what his new gig is. He's concentrating on showbiz as a comedian / ventriloquist. His elevator speeches, I give audiences an hour of good, clean laughter. That is so cool. Who knew, right? Bravo, algetler.com. And I learned a great tip from our queen of conversations, conversions, and cold calling and everything, Wendy, today in our pre-show conversation. Her podcast, which we're about to start talking about, is on IMDb or
DB.
DB. That's where all the actors are, right? And producers and screenwriters and anybody involved in entertainment is on there. So Wendy, you take it from here. You tell Al, this is one of your big tips.
Yeah, it's as a show that I'm going to be going on soon, and it just came up on conversation. And he went, "Are you on IMDb?" And I was like, "Isn't that just for movies?" And it was like, "No, it's for media." And they've opened the doors to podcasting. So I've been very fortunate to have guests that are on IMDb, with profiles. So I just thought this has got to be another way to sort of hack the show.
That's right. Oh, yeah. It's all about repurposing, finding audiences everywhere. I love that, something fierce. And yes, Richard, I love that. Step into your voice. Beautiful. That is so good. Wendy, when did you start your podcast and what's the name of it?
Well, it's going to be no surprise that it's called Making Conversations Count, because I couldn't think of anything else more original.
And when did you start it?
We started it on the 5th of November, 2020.
Oh, gosh, that's great.
Well, I wanted fireworks, you see.
Yeah.
That was all it was. I wanted fireworks. It's Guy Fawkes night here in the UK.
Is it? Okay.
And I launched with a lady at the YMCA because whilst I'm talking about my life and my career, in between business number 1 and number 2, I was actually made homeless. So had I have known that the YMCA was there, I would have had some help from me and my then 5-year-old daughter. Instead, I had to sofa surf for a little while until I got myself on my feet. So I've gotten involved with the YMCA, and my launch episode was, highlighting the YMCA and how it could happen to just about anybody, and you might not even know it already has.
Yes, homelessness is real, and it's a shame. The folks, there's a lot of shame around that because of the indoctrination and the lack of support that we have for folks as they transition through difficult times. I mean, so many folks are one paycheck away from being homeless.
Yeah.
And Wendy,
it just seemed right at the time because it was sort of 6 months into the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was really, really hitting people hard.
Yeah.
And the podcast for me is a way to just carry on having fabulous conversations with really wonderful people. And, I get to be mentored. I help listeners learn how to do stuff.
Look, all the value you've provided today. It's been amazing in our quick conversation. So when does the podcast air? Do you have a certain time, or do we all follow it wherever we follow podcasts?
Yeah, follow it for your notifications. I love getting a little red dot on a Thursday morning when it goes live. It's everywhere. It's, on Apple, it's on Amazon, it's on Google, it's on Spotify. You can even get it on low bandwidth.
Wow, whatever that means.
Data. So if you're in India, for example, where data is really expensive, the low bandwidth means that you can listen. It's a slightly lower audio quality, but it just means that you don't have to miss out.
I love that. And folks, it's so easy to rate a podcast on Spotify. So if you can hop on over to Spotify, Making Conversations Count. You just have to, if you signed into your Spotify account, I think there's like these 3 little dots up, and you click on that and it says rate, and you can give it a 5-star rating, right? Like that. It's not difficult like iTunes makes it. Right, Wendy?
I've even had my nephew shouting, "Alexa, play the latest episode of Making Conversations Count. And it makes his little brother stop crying.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Oh my, yeah. See, this is so wonderful. Wendy, I want to introduce you to one of our favorite people here in the greater Boston area. This is Eric Modal. He has a company called Bean Trust Coffee, and he makes conversations count everywhere. He brings coffee to offices, especially the startup, locations like a WeWork or shared spaces, and just gets people talking around cups of coffee. Isn't that
Wow,
amazing?
Eric, that job I talked about earlier, that
Yeah,
that interview was selling coffee.
there we go. Oh my gosh.
I've got
And
goosebumps.
and during the pandemic, he opened up his own brick and mortar space, and his daughter sells her baked goods, Bonnie's Breads, at the coffee shop. And because, during the pandemic, we all still needed to get a cup of coffee and have conversations.
I
But
love that.
oh, Eric, thank you for swinging by and saying hi. And Al Gettler swung back and said, you know what? He is on IMDb, but he's going to go and update his profile.
Perfect.
Yay. Yeah, Bonnie Bread's so good, but still, he was doing this before the pandemic and before his brick and mortar space. Eric would just go around and start conversations. And folks, when you do take time to use your voice and in that 7 seconds, convey that you're a warm person, you're just wonderful to talk to, period. And some people who are introverts or scared to do this, what's a tip they can have? Wendy, that would really help them get more comfortable in that their voice is okay and they can share that warmth and their empathy.
I would say that I know I'm an extrovert, okay? But I didn't start out that way. I started out very shy, and for me, the telephone was my mask. So a little bit like, we've got the keyboard warriors now going on the telephone. I could be whoever I believed I was. So when I picked up the phone when I was 17, I was going to be the best salesperson in that room. And I was going to just help them, not just buy their coffee, but they were going to have their tea and their sugar and their creamer. And we were going to throw napkins at them and bin bags. And everybody goes to the toilet. So you need toilet rolls. And it was just a great way for you to be able to lean into acting something else.
Yes.
And it's just energy. It's energy at the end of the day. Go and have a lie down afterwards, but you'll feel so great once you have smashed those few calls and you've got people talking to you and the office is saying, I bet this happens to Eric all the time. Oh, I was talking to the woman in the street over the road in that office over there and was telling her how great Bonnie's Breads were. Can you pop over and just say I sent you?
Ta-da! There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And folks, take that on. It's okay to act, all right? Because sometimes we're not that person who's going to create that warm but people who are, and then you can practice again in the mirror so that you're still being authentic, but also on purpose, because your business is worth your getting over whatever you need to get over that's keeping you from making that call, right, Wendy?
Sure. People know genuine.
They do.
Spot genuine. They want to support genuine.
And so you don't have to be super extroverted, but you have to be willing to sort of up your game and be that version of your genuine self, because nobody wants to talk to Eeyore.
If you've made the decision to be a founder in your business, you've got to learn to be comfortable, to have the light shine on you.
All right.
Shine, you've got to shine the light out too. So, this two-way street on all things.
That's a serious stitch that on a pillow, folks. This is going to be the quote that comes out of this show for Wendy. If you're going to be a founder, you've got to be willing to let the light shine on you. And you have to be able to also speak up and speak out. Right,
Yeah.
Wendy?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh. Wendy, it's just so delicious having you here. Can I ask you for a few more questions? Do we have enough time to do that? If
Yeah,
you're true
sure.
with you, okay, great. So I want to know, when you are having a tough day, when you are feeling inadequate or not worthy as a founder, and folks, I don't say if, when you're feeling that, because these things crop up no matter how evolved you are. It's part of our human journey. Wendy, when that happens to you, how do you shift yourself out of that?
Oh, do you know, I usually just down tools, get the dog lead, and we go on a walk. And whilst I'm out and I've got space, I just try to let go of everything. And you know, the best thing in the world is to go, okay, just remember 17 years ago, everybody said you were crazy running your own business. 15 years ago, there was a recession. You never thought you'd survive that. Two and a bit years ago, the COVID hit. You had to restart again. Do you know what? You survived. You survive. You will. Nobody knows the future. Nobody has a crystal ball. All you can do is look at now, today, and reset yourself.
Oh,
'Cause it doesn't matter.
so brilliant. So brilliant. Thank you for that. And then, how has entrepreneurship served you? I tell people all the time they always win no matter what happens when they try entrepreneurship, because either you're going to try again if it doesn't work out, or you can take incredible skill sets back to another gig.
I,
How has this journey served you? I mean, my
where
God.
do you start? I mean, work-life balance is a lie for a
Thank you.
start.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because as a founder, let's face it, it's about us at the end of the day. If you know, it's a living, breathing 24/7, 365 days a year gig. So if anything, oh my goodness, it polishes you. You shave off the rough edges. If you learn so much about yourself and then other people, and it can give you that freedom that you want. You've just got to be brave enough to know when to say no to things
Yep.
and when to say yes to the right things.
Beautifully said. Ah, I love it. Something fierce. And how might the Startup Life Live community add wind to your sails or open doors for you? What's your ask for today?
Oh, my ask is that you all pick up the phone and call one person a day, and then you check in with me next week, right? So that's 5 calls. Tell me how you got on. What were the good, what was the bad, and what was the ugly? Reach out, mention Startup Life Live, and I will help you.
Aw, that's so wonderful. Yay. Thank you for that. I am going to go ahead and pull the lever. Let me share my screen, and we'll go ahead and see who has won the free tool today. Oh, good. It's right up there. We're ready to go. Here we go. Let's do the drawing. Oh, and of course it was that. We're going to draw again because Al bought the book. But Al, yay.
Thank you so much.
But he's already bought the book. So I'm going to draw again. Okay, folks, because we can do that. Watch this. Ta-da! And I love how the faces go by. And Eric!
Fantastic.
Look at that. Hold on. I better get my screenshot of that. No, it's okay. Eric, congratulations. We'll be in touch and how you can get this copy. We'll make it happen. Eric is like all hearts now. We'll probably see a lot of coffee cups coming up any minute too. Yay, Eric.
Congratulations.
Wendy, thank you so much for joining me and sharing such valuable advice. I cannot wait to share this out into the community. I know the replay viewers and podcast listeners are going to love every minute of meeting you. And what a wonderful offer from you to, help folks make those 5 calls, everybody. I think that's wonderful. Thank you for joining me today,
Oh,
Wendy.
I've had so much fun. Thank you ever so much.
I'm going to pop you to the green room and wrap up the show. Oh my gosh, everybody, we learned so much. And yes, Eric, you're a winner. And there are the coffee cups. But take Wendy up on her offer, folks. Making those calls 5 days in a row. Let her know how you made out, because she's really going to want to know genuinely. That's how she is, and that's how she rolls. Let me share with you who's coming up next on the Startup Life Live show on Tuesday, May 24th. At 12 p.m., our usual time and place here on the Startup Life Live show, we have the amazing, when I say amazing, it is the champion of navigating change, Lolita Walker. Lolita coaches busy women and high-powered teams to navigate change with clarity, confidence, and commitment. And I got to tell you, we've all got a lot of change happening right now. So this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful conversation about why investing in yourself creates the best return on investment for you and your startup. Lolita will just inspire you and infuse you, like Wendy did today, with so much deliciousness to help you go on in the world and rock the world with your deliciousness. Okay, everyone, I'm going to wrap up right now. Until we meet again at the next show, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mwahs!